And we're live.
Can we talk about the things that happened to those people over the last week or so?
Not
like
the
if we're abstract
paramotor
about
one,
it.
but we can talk about the motorcycle one.
Okay.
It's probably the better one.
Yeah. So Woody, in his twilight years, has decided to start adventuring more.
That's not true. Can I interrupt there? I've
know,
been making bad decisions since I was 12.
He's going to tell you about all the adventures he's gone on throughout his whole life and how he's essentially Indiana Jones. Go.
Kyle kind of cut me off at the pass here, but I want to say my first bad decision was at 12 surfing the hurricane, and there have just been a series of them ever since. This idea that making bad decisions is a new thing. Well, what are you new around here? I've been doing it from the start, but carry on, Kyle.
Yeah, so his newest thing, it's brand new, is motorcycling. He's hating this. I'm doing all this on purpose.
Yeah, it's my sixth motorcycle, but
not true. I rode a bike when I was a teenager. Don't you know? Yeah, I know.
Started on mopeds, 6 motorcycles. Anyway, carry on.
So this brand new thing, he just has gotten into motorcycles for the first time in his life. and so he went on a little, he's going on this big adventure, cross country on his bike, like on trails, like literally going cross country all the way to the West Coast. And it's coming up fairly soon. And so recently he and a few of his buddies went for a little mini adventure, off in the wilderness of North Carolina, doing little back roads, riding up on some trails and such. And they were giving Woody a little bit of a hard time because he was kind of falling behind. And he was feeling a little bad about it. And then all of a sudden, the lead man drove off a goddamn cliff and broke his back at the bottom of a ravine and had to be medevac helicoptered out.
Here's what the lead guy didn't crash. That guy was super cool. And they were really cool about me being slow. But there was this self-imposed, I'm eyeing everyone up. And I'm like, ooh, well, this guy's on a bike that's less off-road capable, so I'll be able to keep up with him. I'll be faster than him. I wasn't. He made up for that deficit with more talent than me. There was another guy who got a brand new bike. He had 6 miles of experience on this motorcycle. And he was an Indian guy named Zen. And I was like, ooh, maybe I'll be faster than him. Apparently, this guy's a street wizard. And that even the most skillful guys in our group can either barely or not keep up with him on the street at all. He's in his late 30s. He's a doctor. And he's been riding motorcycles for 25 years. He's just very good. He knows what he's doing. And 25 years on the street, no problems. 10 miles in the dirt. And he was behind me, so I didn't know. I thought maybe I'd be faster than him. My bike was a little more capable in the dirt than his. And I've just worked with so many Indian guys that they don't have sports in high school. It's just not like adventuring sport shit isn't normally what their bag is. But this guy was an exception to the rule. This guy apparently was a motorcycle wizard. But
they called him the wizard.
But not on the dirt. So I get to the end.
Like an actual Indian from India, you're saying?
Yeah, dot, not
those
feathers.
guys pack 50 guys on a motorcycle. What do you mean? Those guys know the ins and outs.
Yeah, I didn't think of it. I didn't look at it through that lens, but yeah.
That's why he crashed. He didn't have the rest of his crew.
Anyway, dude's very talented. And he has a deep respect of all the people who know him. I don't know anyone. I'm brand new around here. And anyway, he's behind me, and we're sort of waiting at every turn where you might not know which way to go. They wait for the group to sync up again, and we're waiting. And there's this one guy, I'll call him the caboose, super cool guy. He's there, but Zen's not here yet. Why is the caboose here when all the riders aren't together?
Where's Zen? Yeah,
exactly. And he had a suspicion because he was riding, and you kick up dust, and the dust stopped. He's like, I might know. And so he immediately turns around. He only went to the group to confirm that Zen didn't make it. He turns around, and I don't know how he found it. I guess it was the dust trail ending. He had a good clue because this guy didn't just
help, I am down the crevasse. Please help me to helping me.
I left out part of it. So as he turns around and he's looking for him, Zen calls our group leader. And he's like, I've crashed. And I guess I was thinking, how bad could it be, right? Because he's on the phone talking, and
he's the doctor.
And
Did you give him tech support?
So he calls the group leader, and so we all go back, to see what's up. Dude, next to the road was a cliff, and he fell 30 feet. His motorcycle is 30 feet precariously hanging off a tree. And then he, the rider, fell another 30 feet. He's like 60 feet down this cliff. And the motorcycle's hanging off a tree, like trying to fall the rest of the way onto the rider.
Him? Could it? The motorcycle could have fallen and crushed him, you mean?
Yes, that was a risk. That was a risk. And
Is he a little guy?
Smaller than me, yeah. And anyway, so he's at the bottom of the hill, and we've got guys going down. Just to crawl down this cliff is a real problem. And I never did it because I had this sprained ankle. I'm like, I'm going to be another victim. I literally can't fucking go up and down this cliff on one foot. And anyway, it's a real problem. Our guys can barely get down there, and they're like checking him out. His head's fine. His back, we're not sure about at the time. It turns out he's got a bunch of broken ribs, a broken scapula, and some more. And he's losing pulse in his arm. So we call 911, and they're like, we're on our way, but it's going to be a little while. And it's like, well, that makes sense. You're getting these big diesel ambulances here.
You're in the woods.
Oh, dude, they rolled fucking deep. The first guy comes up, and he's in like a 1-ton pickup truck. And it's like, all right. This guy's like a mountain goat. We're all like, this is a pretty athletic group of guys, dual sport motocross dudes, having a hard time getting up and down this cliff. This guy in his 40s doesn't survey the area or anything, just starts walking down the cliff like it's stairs. And it's like, how are you even doing that? And he just goes down and just straight to the victim, starts talking to him, starts working on him. Now another truck comes in. The biggest ambulance I've ever seen shows up. It's the size of a fire truck, but it's an ambulance, and it's red like a fire truck. And then an ambulance comes, a regular one, and these guys, they don't even know each other, but they're working together amazingly. Barely talking. They're like taking winches, putting them on the side. They've got hitches on the side of the truck for the winch attachment points. And then they're like, they got bags full of rope, and they're throwing the bags off the cliff, and the rope just strings out along the way. On the side of the rope, they're tying like little fucking knots, the knots on knots. I don't know why they're tying knots to the side of the rope and the knots to the knots. And then it all becomes apparent as they put together these different rigging systems. And, I mentioned, I'm like, guys, I think that, like, we've looked at that motorcycle. We don't think it's secure. We think it's a risk. And he's like, got it. Like 15 seconds later, they've got a winch on the motorcycle and a redundant line to it attached to the tree. The motorcycle's secure. Now that the threat's eliminated. These guys were so good at their job. I didn't know people could be this good at work.
And despite all that, the wizard didn't make it, right?
They got him up. They cared about him in a way that I don't know why I was so surprised. They cared about the victim. But like,
they went down the stairs.
The winch is pulling him up, and they're like holding him level, and he's getting a level of pain as he's getting bumped around. Like, you can only bring this metal like kayak looking stretcher up so effectively and gently. And he's in a bunch of pain, and he's sweating, and his arm is hurt. It's called guarding. Like, you ever see someone like land on their arm, and then afterwards they're kind of carrying their arm carefully? It's called guarding. Yeah. He's doing a lot of that, like, holding himself together. And they gave him some fentanyl, but that wasn't enough to like solve all the problems. And they took the ambulance a couple miles away to where the helicopter was, and then they medevaced. No, what is it called?
I think that's right. Medevac?
Is it medevac?
Yeah. Is that the
helicopter?
Yeah, so they used the helicopter to take him to this level 1 trauma center. And I think they had set all that up just by the accident description. Guy fell 30 feet down a cliff, rolled 30 feet more on a motorcycle accident, and they're like fucking all the king's horses and all the king's men. But once they saw him, there was some luck involved, because he just had a few broken bones, and I guess the pulse in the arm thing worked itself out. I don't know, but
that's probably a pretty humbling day for the wizard. He's so confident on the streets, and then he gets in the woods, and he's got no game.
It's a separate skill set. Yeah, so it's like my takeaway from that was like, all right, so being safe isn't having the most skill. it's riding within your skill set, right? You know, and
if you were going for safety, you'd drive a car.
yes.
Or you just wouldn't drive.
Why would you wouldn't take unnecessary
Nothing
trips
bad.
at all.
Nothing bad ever happened to me here.
Dude, it was heavy, man. And it's what was weird for me. I felt guilty about enjoying my weekend. It was great. I had a great weekend. The guys were great. It was my best weekend of the year by far. And I feel like, well, Zen's really hurt, right? Like he's in a level 1 trauma center, and I'm like, isn't this great? This has been a heck of a weekend, hasn't it, boys? I feel like I'm not
bad if I don't know your last name.
I don't don't know his last name. I did just meet him.
And if you did, you couldn't pronounce it.
He seemed like a great guy.
Didn't they cover the survivor's guilt in Old Dogs, which you clearly watched before you went on this midlife crisis adventure?
I don't know this. Old Dogs? Is that
with John Travolta?
Oh, that's what is that?
Hogs. Is that Wild Hogs?
Wild Hogs.
Yeah.
Old Dogs. It's a better name than Wild Hogs. Yeah, that was Tim Allen.
Yeah, Tim Allen. How much does it cost to keep a roving band of Marlboro men on hand to protect against middle-aged men throwing themselves off cliffs? Is that...
I just bought insurance today. I have $100,000 worth of insurance to cover helicopters and ambulances and shit like that.
We call this dangerous retard insurance.
That's pretty much. That's right on target. So there was.
You're telling me your hobbies are fire poi? Okay.